If you struggle with nerves during matches, I think you're going to love today's video because I'm going to teach you a technique that you can use to calm yourself down during a match. This is something that I had to use at the weekend. I was playing in my second tournament as a left-hander. I was trying to pick up my first win as a left-hander. I got a favorable draw, so I put a lot of pressure on myself. I went 5-1 up, and then I started to fall apart. I got really nervous. I got my serve broken while I was trying to serve out the set. My opponent held his serve, and then at 5-3, I finally remembered that there was things that I could do to calm myself down. I did calm myself down, closed out the set, and the second set was much more comfortable. And that's why I wanted to make this video to share this information with you. So I really hope you find this video helpful. If you've struggled with nerves before, it is awful. You're playing well, everything's functioning normally, and then suddenly you turn into this person that can barely move their arms. So really hope you enjoy this video. If you do, it'd be awesome if you could give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't already done so, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I help tennis players with coaching and tips and tactics and stuff like that. But I also help players with things like this, with brain-based training, techniques that you can use during matches to really improve your performance. Okay, so we're going to be working on a breathing technique. Now, the reason that we use breathing is because it allows us to access certain parts of the brain, and it allows us to access the relaxation side of the nervous system, because we've got two sides to the nervous system. We've got the fight or flight, the kind of the stress side, and when you become nervous in a match, that's too much activity, too much fight or flight. And what happens in those situations is our peripheral vision starts to narrow, so think tunnel vision, and that makes it much harder to time the ball and to do the visual side of things. And our bodies also get really good at big movements, so you'll still be able to run quickly because that's what our body's designed to do, but those fine adjustments and controlling the angle of the racket face, that is not what our bodies are designed to do when we're stressed, and that's why stuff gets so hard and things fall apart. So I'm going to teach you how to do a breathing exercise, because that allows us to switch on the other side of the nervous system, which is responsible for relaxation and staying calm. So I'm going to teach you the basic breathing exercise to start with. Then I'm going to teach you how to train it, because you can actually train yourself. You can put yourself into a stressful situation and train yourself to remain calm. Obviously, it's not going to be exactly like playing a match. The only way that you can do that is to play a match, but there is something or a couple of things that we can do to really kind of mimic it, and we can rehearse and practice using this breathing drill so that when we get into a tense situation in a match, then it's much more likely to be effective and we can keep things calm. So that's going to be the basic plan for the video. And then at the end, I want to talk just a little bit, I want to dive in a little bit deeper to kind of what can create the nerves and, you know, worry and negative self-talk and that side of things. So we're going to look at the technique first, and then we're going to talk about that stuff at the end of the video. Okay, so the technique itself is actually really simple to use. We're going to work on breathing out really slowly and breathing out by creating a bit of resistance with our lips. Both of these things help to activate, help to switch on the relaxation side of the nervous system, so they help to calm you down via stimulating something called the vagal nerve. So if I breathe in normally and purse my lips to create a little bit of resistance and breathe out slowly, that's going to start to calm my nervous system down. The other thing that you can do is you can count the number of seconds that you exhale for. So we're going to be working at this on a couple of different levels. The actual style of breathing, the long, slow exhalation and pursing the lips, creating the resistance, helps to activate this nerve. But by counting the number of seconds that you exhale for, it stops you focusing on any negative feelings that you are having, and it focuses your mind on something else. So it kind of removes stress and switches on the relaxation. So the technique itself is really simple, but it's something that you need to train yourself to do, and train yourself to do in stressful situations. And that's something that I've heard Djokovic talk about a lot. Breathing's a key part of his training, and actually Tsitsipas has talked about that a lot this year, and it's one of the things that he credits for his improvements on court. So it is something that you're going to need to teach yourself how to do, and that's what we're going to do right now. I'm going to show you basically two different ways that you can train it. We're going to put you in a stressful situation, and then you're going to teach yourself how to calm, or how to remain calm, using this breathing technique. Okay, so obviously in a match, it's a tense situation. That's why people get nervous. So what we want to do is we want to put our bodies in a stressful situation. And the best way to do that is with breath holding techniques. by holding your breath for an extended length of time, our bodies are kind of hardwired not to like that sensation, because it creates panic within our body. So in a training environment, you can do this at home, you can do this out on court, you can do breath hold work, take yourself to the point where you really strongly feel the need to breathe, and you might notice some panic sensation setting in, and then you can practice calming yourself down. So using the breathing technique that I've just talked about, counting the long, slow exhale, and you can also literally tell yourself to calm down and tell yourself to relax. Now, the way that we're going to do this is we're not going to breathe in, hold it, and then work, because it takes too long. We're going to breathe our air out, so we're going to get rid of all our air first, and then we're going to do the breath hold. Now, it's also a good idea to add some activity in this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to exhale, and I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to walk back and then try and calm myself down. So it's probably not going to look very exciting on camera, but hopefully you'll get the idea. So I'm going to breathe in, breathe all my air out, and off I go. Okay, so that's all it looks like. I got a very intense need to breathe as I got back more towards the end. Now, maybe if I wasn't doing this on camera, I would have started breathing back there, but I wanted to try and stay strong, so I took it a little bit further, and I was very desperately in need of additional air. So it was a good test of what I do. All I did, breathed in, and then told myself to calm down, counted the length of the exhales. So I was trying to take around 7 to 8 seconds to exhale, and trying to recover myself within a couple of breaths. Now, the reason it's good to practice a couple of breaths is because if you're using this in between points, obviously you've got 20, 25 seconds in between points. Hopefully you can calm yourself down in that time, but then as you step up to bounce a couple of balls, if you're serving, then you can use this breathing technique just while you're doing some ball bounces as well. But that is the simple way to train yourself. You do a breath hold, so breathe in normally, so you're not trying to fill your lungs full of air. That completely defeats the object of what we're trying to do. You just breathe in normally, exhale all of your air, and then challenge yourself, and this might be something you need to work up to. Challenge yourself, get that real strong need to breathe, and then work on calming your system down. Now, the way that we can add to this is we can do something more strenuous. So I've just gone for a walk, so I'm going to have to, calm myself down through lack of air. But if we add in some hard work to it, so if I do a set of squats or a set of some kind of exercise that really raises my heart rate, that's going to replicate things more closely like they would be in a match. So now I'm going to breathe in, I'm going to exhale, and then going to do some squats to try and raise my heart rate. I'm going to push myself, take it to the point where I really need to breathe in, and then I'm going to use this technique again. So again, it'll look a bit silly on camera, but it's a really effective thing that you can use, and if you train yourself, it works very well. But it'll look like this. Normal breath in, breathe out my air, and then go for it. Okay, and it looks like that. So I've raised my heart rate, I've made myself out of breath as well. I did take a big breath in afterwards, then I slowed the exhale. I'm counting the length of my exhale, and I'm telling myself to relax, telling myself to calm down. And if you practice this enough, you can start to reduce and lower your heart rate as well, which is going to be another key factor of helping you to recover before the next point. But that's what it looks like. Real simple stuff that you can do and you can work on to train yourself to use this breathing technique in a stressful situation. So you can practice this literally every day. It's not too challenging to do. It can kind of be mentally challenging because air hunger and needing to breathe is a little bit stressful in that sense, but this is something you can train yourself to do on a fairly regular basis, and it works very quickly. You know, with a couple of weeks of practice working on this sort of stuff, you can then very easily use it on court to help stay calm. It's then just about using it, because like I said a moment ago, it took me a couple of games to remember that I could do this during a match and then calm myself down. Now, there's something else that you can add to this. You obviously can't do this in the middle of points, but something that you can use at changeovers is you can also cover your eyes. You can put a towel over your head and block out light. And you've probably seen a lot of professional tennis players sitting at changeovers with towels over their heads. Now, this one is kind of a little bit deeper, but the stress, the fight or flight side of the nervous system kind of lives in a certain part of the brain. And light information that comes into our eyes and the nerves that create movements in our eyes also get activated by this part of the brain. So as an additional way to calm ourselves down, if you sit at the changeover with a towel over your head and your eyes closed, or you just cover your eyes, it removes an additional form of stimulation. So then you can use this breathing technique for extended periods during that changeover. So I'll pretend that I'm sitting at changeover, I'm covering my eyes and I'm just telling myself to relax, working on long, slow exhalations for 90 seconds during the changeover to really calm your nervous system down and help to get rid of those nerves when you play. Okay, so the last thing that I want to talk about in this video is being able to control what you think about on court, because that's going to be a key piece to this. We've got a technique that we can use to calm the system down, but we also need to focus our mind in a certain way. And again, this is something that you hear a lot of great players like Djokovic and Serena talking about, that it took them a while to train themselves to do. When we're playing, we've got certain things that we need to think about and certain things that we need to not think about. So I need to be focusing on my patterns of play. If I'm serving, I need to be thinking about my serve routine, where I'm going to place my serve, stuff like that. There's a whole bunch of stuff that I cannot allow myself to think about. So I need to not be thinking about the consequences if I lose. I'm not going to be thinking about what my friends are going to say about me if I lose. I'm not going to think about how stupid I look if I lose and how much of a, that stuff that I need to not think about. I need to focus on the other stuff. So firstly, you can train yourself to do that. When the voice appears in your head and it starts saying this negative stuff, you've got to quell it. You've got to tell it, push it away, refocus your mind on what you should be focusing on. And that's a skill all in itself that you want to train yourself over and over again to work on. But if you aren't able to do that, if you aren't able to quieten down the negative voice in your head, I think about that in a certain way. I think about that as an anxiety type thing or an anxiety type trait. You should have the ability to stop unwanted thoughts. Now, what we see kind of in the research on this type of thing is that the lack of ability to stop unwanted thoughts are associated with particular brain areas, because we've got certain parts of the brain that are responsible for stopping negative thoughts. And if they're not functioning at a high enough level, we can't stop negative thoughts. So we've got this breathing technique that we can use on court, but another strategy that we can also use is to really train these parts of the brain and try and make them work more efficiently to be able to do their job better, so that we don't have the same negative emotions in the first place. Now, there's a few different ways that you can do it. One of the best ways to do that is going to be to train your balance system. So your vestibular system that lives in your inner ear, it's intricately connected to this part of the brain. And again, what we see if we look at the research is that a lot of the times, stuff going on with the balance system can be linked to anxiety type behavior as well. So there is a video, a link down in the description that's going to give you access to download a free program that I've created. It's a vision training program, so it's going to be really useful for ball tracking and timing and stuff like that. But the balance system exercises within that program are actually going to be a good start to help you train the parts of the brain that are going to be useful for controlling negative thoughts on court. So feel free, go ahead, use that link and download that and start working on it. Now, obviously, if you would like additional help, this is the sort of stuff that I help players with. You know, there are lots of things that we can do to improve your performance. We can train your breathing so that you can stay calm. We can get these parts of the brain working more efficiently so that you can push away negative emotions. So if you'd like to learn more about this sort of stuff, and maybe if programs that I've got are beneficial for you, I'd love to chat to see if I can help. There's another link in that description that you can use to schedule a free chat with me. Okay, I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could give me a thumbs up. Obviously, if you've got any questions or comments, leave them down below and I'll get back to you as quick as I can.